Alright, test 1, 2. How's this sound? Probably not too bad. Probably not too bad, hopefully. I think I should be about good to go here. So which... Am I in this one or am I in the other one? So which... Am I in this one or am I in the other one? See, that may even be a little too close, but I'm not entirely sure. See, that may even be a little too close, but I'm not entirely sure. Okay, so there's that one, and then let me try the other. How's this? This probably isn't bad, but it's that quality is worse. I think what we'll do is we'll go with the other one. We'll just try to kill the mic level. So when we do, probably hold it like this, it'll be a little bit better. Yeah. Okay. So I'm hoping that this here won't be too bad. It could get slightly loud. I'm hoping it's not too distorted, because if should it become distorted, then we'll have a problem. But distorted, because if should it become distorted, then we'll have a problem. See, even that seems a little bit too loud, but that's not even too loud. See, even that seems a little bit too loud, but that's not even too loud. Like it's not too close to my face. Let me try, see if I can probably just mess with the level a little bit more. How about that? That's probably a little bit better. That doesn't sound as nearly as bad. That sounds a lot better. I mean, how about this, though? I mean, does that sound bad? I mean, it's going to be close probably like this. I don't know how bad it's going to be. Alright, well, we're here. I'm hoping that the legitimate audio isn't that bad. It did sound slightly distorted, but at the same time, I am trying to be slightly quieter despite having the mic close to my face like this, so it might be a little bit difficult, but we shall carry on. Can I actually... Okay, this desk space is just slightly got too many things on it, and I am juggling wires. How about that? Now that's probably a little bit better, because at least at this point I can still talk whilst not, being in a bad spot necessarily. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't sound bad, but, It's trying not to be, like, overly loud. Perhaps I have to turn this fan off. Maybe that's just kind of how it is. Maybe it's just slightly doing that. I may even put the mic here because at least at this point I can still kind of have control of the controller. Let me see. Trying not to be like overly loud. Perhaps I have to turn this fan off. Maybe that's just kind of how it is. Maybe it's just slightly doing that. I may even put the mic here because at least at this point I can still kind of have control of the controller. Let me see. It doesn't sound bad. I think we'll probably try to have to go like this. We'll have to wait and see. Now let me know if the mic right here is like too quiet or too loud. You know, I mean, I think I'm more worried about it being distorted rather than being too quiet. But I mean, I don't know. Yeah, just drop it in the chat if it doesn't sound as good as it could be. Perhaps I ought to have the stream up on YouTube. That might be helpful. Actually, this is brilliant here because now I can actually have somewhat of a replay going at the same time. That may actually be very good. I'll have the volume down as well. So now I have replays like as we go. This may actually be very, very good. I am not playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019. I will say that though. I don't know why it says I'm doing that, but weird. I have my other tabs open as well should I need them, which is going to be good. Just make sure I'm in the party chat and whatnot. Yeah, it looks all good. Kind of just waiting for it to start here. Again, let me know if it sounds distorted and whatnot. I'm trying to kind of have like a more, I don't want to say professional. Do you think I should almost... I don't know. Do you think this is better, or should I go to the headset mic? Or should I go to this one? I can't quite tell. I know this one sounds worse, but at least it might be at a better level. I can change that if I need to. I'm gonna just go with 29 seconds to go, anyways. Nearly ready to go here. I'll start the hard recording at 10 seconds. We'll get ready to go. All right, well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the 7th round of this JAG Sunday Series season. It's taking place at the Circuit Barcelona, Catalunya, in Barcelona, Spain. It's a track that's had a lot of question marks surrounding it in the recent seasons, especially with Madrid coming into the calendar in a couple of years' time. But the track itself has been a staple of Formula One for the longest of times, and I'm hoping that it will find a way to stay on the schedule. Hotspot on the call with you. We got 17 drivers on the grid tonight. Should be a very, very good race. I'm hoping so, at least. This track doesn't really. It's one of those circuits that may sometimes disappoint in the real life, but in the virtual world, there's not many complaints I have with it aside from the turn 10 sweeper as it is now. It used to be a tight hairpin corner, not the case anymore. 14 corners on this 4.6 kilometer circuit, which held its first Grand Prix in 1991, with the current lap record sitting at a 1:18.4, set by Daniel Ricciardo in 2018. And it looks as if it's going to be at least fairly good weather day today. It doesn't appear that there's any clouds or anything. It has to be said. Yeah, looks like we might do quite all right here. Who's going to be our first driver out on track? Before we do that, let's go ahead and have a look at the driver standings. So after last week's sprint race format races at Spa, Zench still leads the top of the table by 20 points over Reimer in second. Looks like our first driver out on track is going to be the Aston Martin of the Convertible out on track. Zench first 154, Reimer 134, Mars Bar 107, Maple Lace 93, Fear Luke 87, Stims 69, nice, Jag Cheb 67, DWCJ 61, Manny K at 51, and Bergen in P10 at 48. So Zench, not necessarily running away with this championship, I would say, but definitely doing very well. And for the most part, it does appear like he's got a pretty good grasp on the season so far. That's your driver standings. As far as the constructor standings are concerned, the Haas team does still lead at 215, Ferrari 182, Williams 131, Aston Martin 127, AlphaTauri 111, Red Bull 102. Actually leads Alfa Romeo by 1 point, and Alpine by 2, 101 and 100 for the respective teams. McLaren at 84, and Mercedes with only 20 points to their name. The rest of the calendar looks like there's only 4 rounds yet to go after this week. Monaco next week, which could be subject to change, not only the round, but if we do have the round and then 18 drivers, it will be a full qualifying session, which will be very fun. Circuit Paul Ricard in France for round 9, Silverstone for round 10, and rounding out the season in Las Vegas for round 11. The first driver out on track is going to be the Convertible as he makes his way down the pit straight here. It's a very long pit straight. It's going to see a lot of overtaking with the DRS zone. Making his way through the first couple of corners. Looks pretty clean so far, has to be said. No real complaints on my end. Up the hill into the Hamilton and Rosberg corner. By the way, a very happy St. Patrick's Day to all you who have pots of gold and pints of Guinness at the end of your rainbows. His way towards in through sector 2 now. Look at a pretty halfway decent lap so far. No real complaints. Up the hill through turn 7 and 8. That's a tough one to get correctly, especially how the camber in the corners makes it, especially up the hill through turn 9. So that is a very difficult one to get correctly. The back and the front always usually wants to go around from you. Purple sector 2 so far, naturally as it is. Through turn 10, up through turn 11, and into the right-hander at 12. Down this little straight here. Ooh, a little wiggle on the back end. Nothing too bad. I guess turn 13 down the hill into turn 14. Doesn't manage to be able to keep it flat. DRS activated and across the line he goes to 113.297. That is a very solid opening attempt there from the Aston Martin in question. Let's see if DWCJ has anything to say about it. That's a 112.321. He is, well, I tell you what, as BRD Calvin has gone top of the table, 112.177, and then we, a 112.009. That is the fastest lap so far. A lot of drivers in this 112 range already, which, I mean, I didn't necessarily expect, but the quality of the grid here is second to none. 111.938 for the Alpine and Jag Greg. Only 7/100ths of a second ahead of that of we in that Williams. That is a very solid lap there from Jag Greg. That Alpine team, which started off so strong and then had a couple of tough rounds in the middle there, looking to get back on track. Still only a few rounds left in the season, but hoping for some good ones here. Let's see, who do we have coming around next? I believe it is well, it's one of the Aston Martins. I believe it's Convertible, who's already finished his. Reimer's on an outlap now. Shall we go along with the Ferrari here? Down the pit straight he goes. Reimer starting his timed attempt now in towards the first corner. The driver who currently is 20 points behind in the Drivers' Championship, who has really had a pretty halfway decent season when you think about it. He's been consistently right there with Zench, who, speaking of Zench, 111.845, goes top the table just by just under a tenth over Jag Greg. Reimer has been right there with it. Not necessarily the luck that Zench has had from time to time, although Zench, in fairness to him, has put together some incredible displays this season, has to be said. as far as the results, last time out, remember Fear Luke taking the win, and I believe this was the sprint. Yeah, I think that was the sprint race result I'm looking at there, and then also taking the win in the feature race as well, followed by Mars Bar and Zent rounding out the podium. Reimer gets fourth in that race, plus the fastest lap. So not a terrible result. A couple of points to be gained there as Reimer makes his way down into turn 14 now. What does he have to offer here on this attempt? Out of the final corner, and across the line he goes, and it's a 1:11.659. Beats Zent by over a tenth and a half, nearly 0.2 of a second. That is a very good lap from that of Reimer. And, well, I tell you what, that's the one that he would have needed and he would have hoped for as well. Because this guy has been on quite the string of bad luck recently. He was about a lap away from finishing on the podium on last Thursday's race, and unfortunately crashed out on one of the final laps of the Grand Prix. And he is looking for some redemption today, that has to be said. Who do we have coming up next? I believe it was that of Jag Cheb, who is starting one here, yet to put together a timed attempt. Down the hill into turn 1 he goes, uses all of the track that he possibly can. Up to turn 2 and 3 now, looking a very good first sector so far. That third corner is so difficult to get correct, but in fairness, with these new generation of cars, you very much can just go flat out through it. You never used to be able to. That's the thing. It was more or less one of those corners you had to feather the throttle on your way through. Not anymore. These cars have so much downforce now that you really can't hold it flat through that third corner. But up to 7 and 8 now, looking pretty good. Top of the hill at turn 9. I'll tell you what, that car looks right stable going up through that hill, has to be said. About 10.5 minutes remaining here into turn 10 and 11 now is the Alpine. As we said, this is looking a very solid lap here from Jag Cheb so far. Teammate of Greg still resides third. He's on an outlap as well, so he'll be coming back around here shortly. But out of turn 14, down and across the line he goes. Well, only 12th, a 1:12.739. I don't really know where else he could have made up time in that lap. I thought that was a very complete lap there from Jag Cheb. And I tell you what, the top 12 being separated by that first second, that is very impressive. That is the testament of the competitiveness of this league here. I believe just going across the line now was perhaps Bergen, who's gone 14. I think the Williams of Short Marcus has made his way. He's on an outlap now. Currently resides 4.3 off the pace. Nevek making his way. Well, that was a bit of a wiggle there going through turn 5. And his recharge light is on, so that's not going to be a timed attempt from him. Fear Luke has just gone second place here rather shortly. Is he on a lap now? I'm not entirely sure. Well, either way, it appears that he's left the session. Slightly odd. Up through the first sector now, I believe, is the Aston Martin of Maple Ace. He's making his way through Sector 2, as a matter of fact, through the backstretch DRS zone in towards turn 10. Let's see what kind of time he's putting together here. Only faster by 5/100ths of a second. That is going to help him improve. Not really enough. He's not going to improve up to P10 unless he's had himself a great first sector. I believe that was one of the Haas drivers, DWCJ, just kind of getting out of the way in Sector 1. Maple Ace exits turn 14, down the hill and across the line he goes. 1:12.108 improves by a quarter of a second there, up to P8. Matter of fact, he's 5/1000ths of a second behind Mons in the Alfa Romeo, who is only 4/1000ths of a second behind Manny Kay in the McLaren. It's a good little stretch of cars there within a couple of thousandths of each other there for P6 down to P8. It's a good battle it looks like we're going to have there. Speaking of Mons on an outlap now, we've got the Alfa Romeo of Mid coming around the line now. Looks as if he's just finished one, and he has gone at 1:12.064, up to P6 for him. A lot of drivers in that 4/10 of a second range there. Mid, Manny Kay, Mons, Maple Ace, all within 4.5 of the top spot at the moment, as Short Marcus, a 1:11.462. Now that's put about 0.2 of a second behind a Reimer, who's Short Marcus. I'm not going to lie, I do not know who this guy is, and he's put together one hell of a attempt right there. That was very, very good. and it looks as if Fear Luke has rejoined the session, but Short Marcus, what a lap from him to start here. Coming around the line now, looks as if it is, I believe it is Maple Ace on his way in. We do also have the Ferrari of Bergen, who I believe is, yep, he's going to be on his way in. He invalidated his previous attempt. Mons making his way in through turn 14 now. DRS activated for him, battery being used, 7 minutes and 20 seconds remaining here. Mons currently sits P9 at the moment. With a time of a 1:12.103. Really close to being in a real hunt for the first 3 rows here. Let's see if he can put a better one together here. And by the way, these are good laps they're all putting down. I'm actually very surprised at how close this grid is at the moment. Making his way towards turns 6, 7, and 8 now. Up the hill now. The left-handers of 7 and 8 looking pretty good. Up through turn 9. Maybe a slight lift there. Nothing too bad. Into turn 10. He's faster through sector 2. 16 1,000th of a second. It's not a ridiculous improvement, but it will be enough for the time being to at least leapfrog the McLaren in P8. So for that, for the time being, should this lap be good here, it will be a 4th row lockout for the time being for the Alfa Romeo team. Rounds the final corner, down the pit straight and across the line, is actually now slower by 2 100ths of a second, so I'm not quite sure where he's lost the time in that lap, but for being up in the second sector, that's a slight disappointment there, I'd have to say, from Mons. It looked as if he was having a good one there. BRD Calvin on a timed lap now, up through turn 3. Looking like he's got a halfway decent attempt going, about 5 100ths faster through sector 1. In through turn 5 now. Doesn't really use a lot of the curving outside. We do see drivers doing more than that. 5.5 minutes left to go. Up through 7 and 8. Going towards turn 9 now. Then down the backstretch after that. Clean track ahead of him as well. Sector 2 timing lined up now. He's actually slower by 8 100ths. Don't know. I don't know where the mistakes are being made. I think this is actually a pretty solid lap. I'm not really sure why we're seeing this time go down here. This slightly interesting. Through turn 14, looks like he's going to complete the lap to full speed anyway, so when across the line he goes. Yeah, slower by about just under a 10th and a half. He'll remain P11 for now with about 4 minutes and 45 remaining. Zench, the Haas, the championship leader, making his way through Sector 2, was slower by about, what did that say, 8 100ths through Sector 1. So he's got a little bit of work to do here. P4, and off by 3.5, 4/10ths of a second, is, I would say, unusual territory for Zench. Usually you get him in clean air, that guy will dominate, but that doesn't appear to be the case at the moment. Slower now by half a second through Sector 2. I wouldn't be surprised if he aborts this one at the end of the lap. We've got his teammate of DWCJ making his way actually in front of him. He looks like he's about to start one here. Let's go down and join the second Haas. 4 minutes to go. Down the pit straight he goes, in towards the first corner. Looking like a pretty halfway decent time for him so far, but halfway decent times aren't going to get it done here. He is, for the time being, 7.5 tenths off, and sometimes that'll be good enough for the top 10. No, he's currently P12 right now, and a couple of other drivers knocking on the door of that spot. Justerini in P13, Bergen P14. Also, I would think, in the mix here. So, only a couple of drivers out on track now, 4 of which to be exact, as we get the Ferrari of Reimer coming out on track now. But, let's see. Making his way, well, he's a clean second slower through Sector 2 as Zench has retired, that being in the pit lane. Well, let's see. We've only got a couple of minutes remaining here, about 3 to be exact. Into the pit lane he goes. Let's go along with the Ferrari of Reimer, second in the championship. He knows his main rival is out of qualifying with his, I believe that's a 1:11.7 his time. Yeah, 1:11.84. So Reimer, for the time being, knows he'll at least out-qualify Zench, which will be, I would think, a good little morale boost for him. Out of turn 13 he goes, down the hill into turn 14. Let's see if Reimer can put together a good one here. Out of the final corner, 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining. Across the line, and the time begins. One of only 3 drivers currently out on track, but there you go, 3 more behind. In through turn 1, and then in through turn 2. It's a neat little switch there. One of the few tracks on the F1 calendar where it's not a really tight corner, the first one, and immediately switches back to the other side, which does prove to sometimes be tricky through turn 5 now. Sector 1 was about a 1/10.5 quicker, but now has a little bit of traffic ahead of him with the Aston Martin here in question. When I tell you what, he only just barely got away there. I believe that was slightly a little much. I mean, you knew that Reimer was going to be getting back on acceleration after exiting turn 7 there, but that one got a little scary, has to be said. Especially considering when you got a driver of Reimer's quality, you could be going for pole here in just a couple of seconds' time. Making his way now through turn 14, a minute and 15 seconds remaining. DWCJ's off in the pit lane. Across the line is Reimer at the 1:11.303. Puts Stuart Marcus' time behind by a 1/10.5. Really good for Williams in question on an out lap now. In fact, all but one currently is out on track. All but 2, actually. So both the Haas team drivers. Across the line now is the Aston Martin of Maple Lakes. Down the hill into the first corner, looking pretty good so far. Using as much of the curb on exit as he can. Through turn 2, up through turn 3 now. Clear track ahead of him as well. That's going to be very helpful for your Luke starting one now, as well as the Williams of Short Marcus. I'll be looking to see Short Marcus's lap. Provisional pole sitter for a good little while there, and then Reimer only having just taken it over now. Into turn 1 he goes, and then to this switch of turn 2. Looks pretty good. I tell you what, all the way through turn 3, absolutely pinned on the throttle. They're way to the inside of the circuit. However, is slower by a 1/10 of a second there. Through turn 5 he goes now. A couple of drivers will make their way around shortly. His time is going to expire here. Maple Lace is going to be the... it's actually the Aston Martin of the convertible making his way around the final corner. I don't believe he's on track to improve. No, he doesn't. It's slower by a 1/10.5. It's the Ferrari of Bergen. It's the Ferrari of Reimer up next who's on his way in. Maple Ace out of the final corner, looking to be a solid attempt here. Across the line for him is slow. Well, it does improve. Only just 9/1000ths of a second was the improvement. It's Nevek across the line next. He will go P5, 1:11.869. Improves by, just about 7 seconds there. That's always a good thing to see. Mid has gone across the line, 1:12.065. Finishes, for the time being, in 9th spot. And we have what a conundrum this is here. It's the Williams of Short Marcus. Several drivers. Look at this. 2, 4, nearly 6 drivers off track there. I don't know what has happened in this time to temp, but we've got Short Marcus involved. We've got the Mercedes of Algeria faced the wrong way. Jag Cheb as well. I mean, what a conundrum has happened here, and I'm going to be honest with you, I have no idea. Jag Cheb has been disqualified for being parked in a dangerous location. Oh, I wish we had an adequate look at that, because quite honestly with you, that was very, very odd. And Jag Cheb will start P18. And just as I thought we were going to get a kind of a dash to the start-finish line there for the pole time, well, that's not actually going to be the case. It's going to be Reimer on pole. It's a 1/10.5 over Short Marcus. 1 second separates the top 14.
2006 Spanish Grand Prix, Fernando Alonso became the first Spanish Formula 1 driver to win at his home country's track while driving the ground in his second championship-winning year. He would go on to win it again in Spain in 2013 while driving for Ferrari. Barcelona has been used for pre-season testing on multiple occasions over the last few decades.
Well, The qualifying results for the Spanish Grand Prix. Here's your starting grid. Reimer on pole by a tenth and a half. Short Marcus second after a very weird final attempt there. Several cars getting in the way and spinning around. Fear Luke in third. Zench fourth, the championship leader. Ahead by 20 points. Down by 3 spots over Reimer. Nivek fifth. Jag Greg sixth. Seventh is Wee. Eighth is Justerini. Ninth is Mid. 10th Manny K. 11th Maple Ace. 12th is Mons. 13th is Calvin. 14th DWCJ. 15th is Bergen. 16th Algieri. 17th is De Convertible. And Jag Cheb, who had a pretty good time on the board before that, unfortunately got disqualified and will start the race P18. The top 14 drivers separated by 9/10 of a second. That is a pretty good statistic to have. I don't know how the weather's going to be. Rain is always in the question here at Spain, but we'll have to wait and see because for the time being, this is looking like it's going to be one of the Grand Prix of the season. And Maple Ace had left the session there. I'm hoping he'll join back at some point. Let me see if I can just get a look at the Discord to see if anything had gone on. So Reimer getting pole. Jag Cheb complaining that he's got no grip. Huh. I don't know. That's a very, very weird situation, that. And it has to be said, a very cloudy day we have now. This is not how the qualifying session looked, that's for sure. It does look as if... well, I tell you what, skies are quite gray here in Barcelona. Be sure to drop your race predictions now. I'm being pinged in the thing here. Don't ready up, says Jagred. Well, I don't really have a choice on that, but be sure to drop your race predictions now. I want to thank you for taking the time to invite us into your home for the 7th round of the season. Still 4 rounds yet to come after this weekend. Next week we head to the Principality of Monaco for the 8th round of the season. Should be very, very fun. For perhaps a full qualifying session as well. Maple Ace has got himself back in, which is good. I believe we're going to have formation lap on. I hope that's the case at least. And it does appear that formation lap is going to be underway. Reimer will lead them off the grid. It looks as if, though, the majority of the drivers on the medium tires, only 4 of which choosing the softs, 1 on the hards, the hard driver being Algieri in the Mercedes, Justerini, Manny K, DWCJ, and Bergen all choosing the softs. Kind of a... well, everybody being on the mediums tells me it's probably going to stay dry all throughout, unless does Justerini and everybody else on the softs know that there's going to be rain on the way. It does look very cloudy, as you can probably tell in the screens here. Not a sunshine ray in sight. 33 laps for the Barcelona circuit yet to come. Reimer will lead them back round. Reimer has the opportunity today to make some real gains in the championship standings here with a couple of rounds left to go. It's a 20-point gap between the two, and he will definitely need to kind of right the ship. The defending champion is, well, very much, I would say, on the ropes. He's had himself, I don't want to say a bad season, but to be down 20 points with only 4 rounds remaining after this. It's kind of, it's a difficult situation to be in because anything can happen, we know that, but Reimer's running out of time to make this one right. Well, I tell you what, Short Marcus, I'm going to have my eye on him as well as Fear Luke, last week's race winner, and Zench. Specifically, Short Marcus, I think he was on pace for a great qualifying result there, and on that final attempt, just, well, about 6 drivers decided to spin it around for some reason. I don't really know what the deal was with that. 16 to 21 for medium to hard, 14 to 16 for soft to medium. There are your tire strategies there. Reimer will lead them back to the grid here. He'll have the outside into the first corner, which I think might be better for him, assuming that he'll keep the inside line in through turn 2. He'll be able to, hold that top spot. We'll have to wait and see. as Justerini doesn't find the grid box correctly.
Finished on the podium and win a race.
Final couple of cars making their way around here. Jag Cheb, who was on pace for a great result, unfortunately got disqualified for being parked in a dangerous location, was the official wording. Very unfortunate for him, and, well, he'll be hoping for a good result here to kind of make up for that. Although starting as far back as he is, that may be some difficulty, has to be said. Well, looks as if the lights are going to be turning on here shortly. Reimer on pole. Short Marcus to his inside. Lights turning on now for the 7th round of the season here in the JAG Sunday Series, and they're off. And it looks as if Reimer got a just good enough start there. He'll have Short Marcus down to the inside, but I think he's cleared the Williams already. Yes, he has. Pierre-Luc and Zench are going to be in position now as they head into the first corner. What advantages are going to be made here? Zench trying to find his way to the inside. Little contact there with Jag Greg behind. Reimer will maintain the lead as they exit the first section of corners. It does look as if Pierre-Luc has made his way up to 3rd, Nevek to 4th, Zench down to 5th, as now Zench battling Manny K there. Oh, the Red Bull of Justerini's gone around, as well as the Williams of Wee, and it looks as if we've got a bit of a conundrum there. It doesn't appear that the Williams has hit anything. The track will stay green for now until Maple Ace crashes it there. He's actually collided with Calvin. Oh, this is going in towards turn 5, and I don't really know what's happened there, but that is a hefty impact for the Aston Martin in question, and his day is done. Very unfortunate there. I really, that is an odd place to have gone around there for Maple Ace. I mean, he is certainly have had to made contact with somebody. That's the only reasonable way I can see that something like that would have happened. And, well, it's a short one for the Aston Martin today. Very unfortunate for him. Reimer will lead the first lap of the Grand Prix here. Tell you what, Short Marcus got a pretty halfway decent start, had no challenges from the drivers behind. Zench got, I don't want to say bumped out of the way from Jag Greg, but there was some contact in the opening lap there, which has resulted in Nevek going down the inside and taking the spot. We're not a green flag yet. Zench doesn't believe that. Now green flag. To the inside goes the Haas of Zench, the championship leader, into the first corner. Oh, the back end of the Red Bull's gone around just a little bit. He's caught back onto it. He'll maintain 5th. I don't think there was any contact involved there. It didn't appear to be. Oh, maybe a bit. As I look at my monitor, it does appear there was maybe a slight bit of contact between the Haas and the Red Bull there. Now side by side is Jag Greg and Nevek as they make their way. Nevek has had to go slightly off track there. All 4 tires off the tarmac. He may complain that Greg didn't leave him any room on the outside there. Tough one to try to think about behind. Manny K, who is ghosted, as we've also got, I don't know what's going on now, but I'm hoping that it's just the interval that's got errors. Down the back straight they go as they try to file their way down. It looks as if the Williams of Algeria will overtake the ghosted McLaren of Manny K. DWCJ in this as well. He's looking to overtake McLaren round the outside, well, actually through the outside, as they make their way through turn 12. So Algeria 7 spots gained on the start there. De Convertible and Jag Cheb both up 5. DWCJ up 4, Mons up 5 as well. It's been a good result for Mons. He also clears his teammate in the proceedings with that as well. Short Marcus on his way, as I believe DWCJ and Algeria side by side. The Haas has gotten around him going through the first corner. Short Marcus 2.5 tenths behind Reimer here through turn 4 this is. Down the straight and into turn 5 now. Not really going to have the opportunity to pressure the Ferrari for the time being. He's going to have to wait until he gets DRS. Justerini getting around Manny K now, that being for P12. The top 4 still relatively close by each other in this battle. No DRS quite yet. Nope, there it is. As Short Marcus now, will he have a look to the inside? No. As a matter of fact, the DRS is, I don't want to say pointless down this back straight, but it's not as useful as it used to be. As behind, Jag Greg now side by side with Nevek. This one, I tell you what, we saw just in the back of the picture, Jag Greg go slightly off track. Perhaps if you go deep into turn 10, it could have been the case. But turn 10, not as good of an overtaking zone as it used to be. Remember, it used to be a very tight left-handed corner. Now, it's much more of a sweeper that we don't really see the moves in there anymore. Jag Greg down to the inside now. He will take back the pit spot. Into first corner. Marcus nearly had a look at Reimer, not quite close enough to make it happen. But short Marcus doing well for the time being. He still has, I'd say what, he's held on very well here to the reigning champion. Here Luke in this as well. Zent's trying to bounce back and get himself back in contention for the podium here. The top four have stayed as they were off the starting grid. Marcus now 3.5 tenths behind Reimer as they make their way up through turns 7 and 8. And then up the hill, the right-hander of turn 9. We look behind Reimer's back rear wing there. Marcus has DRS. He's not going to be close enough this time. Although I tell you what, if Marcus gets a good enough exit out of 14, he may have a very valid attempt down the pit straight. It's a very long pit straight, about 1 kilometer long, or probably even more than that. I don't really know what the exact statistics is, but it's a decently long front straight, and I would assume that we're going to be seeing some DRS moves be made. Exiting the final corner now. Reimer moves all the way down to the inside of the circuit as he can. Tries to cut back. He'll allow Marcus to have a little bit of a toe there as Marcus down to the inside, and Marcus will have that one well before the braking zone. Nicely done for the Williams, who now has the reigning champion behind him. And it was a good move there by Marcus. Like before they even got into the braking zone, very nicely done. Reimer still in position, really over the back of the Williams here. Nearly contact being made into the braking zone there at turn 4. For the time being, they stay all right. 2.5 tenths of a second to gap. That was a very odd tone, that. I don't even know what that is. Okay, anyways. 3.5 tenths now for Zent, trying to find room around Fear Luke. Remember Fear Luke, last week's race winner, hoping to go back-to-back. We have the convertible and Algieri side by side now. This is up through turn 7 and 8. Perhaps with the contact there. Both drivers slightly slow on the way out of that complex. The convertible will get back ahead somehow. The 2 Alfa Romeos, it looks as if doing okay for the time being, and hoping that not much battling happens between those two if it does happen. As we keep seeing now again, Algieri and convertible towards the back, that going through turn 11. As short Marcus the fastest lap, and he put nearly a second back to the Ferrari in question. Only overtaken him down the pit straight last time, and he is out to a good lead now, as we said. Jag Greg getting around Nevek there. Oh, and that was contact with Mons. And I tell you what, a bit of an accordion effect there, as Nevek got into Greg, Mons got into Nevek in mid, nearly got into his teammate. That was very close to being catastrophic there for the 4 drivers involved. Into turn 5 now. It's a 3/10 of a second gap here. Zent knows that he's going to have to work to get around Fear Luke. Fear Luke is not one of those drivers to lay down and take it easily. He's going to have to work for it. Will he try anything with DRS getting into turn 9? Again, it's not really a DRS zone. That's really going to see a lot of overtakes. Not like it used to be. Into the corner. Zent still 3/10 of a second behind. He's not quite close enough yet. For the time being there, Reimer was outside of the 1 second DRS activation point there. Currently 8.5 tenths. In towards turn 14, and it's 8/10 of a second. Reimer is losing time to the Williams ahead. As a matter of fact, Fear Luke will not have DRS back to Reimer this time. He's going to be very much under pressure from Zent here, who's down to the inside, and the Haas is going to make that one look easy. Nicely done behind. It looks as if Nevek, will he have a look to the inside of Jag Greg in the first corner? No, but a little bit of a double braking zone there from Nevek. Nearly had him a look down to the inside, and a slight bit of contact coming in at turn 2. Oh, and Nevek has gone around, and I'm afraid that was all on his own error as well. And he was just going, I think maybe didn't take too much of the curve. No, he wasn't even on the curve when he spun, just punched the throttle. That car went spinning, and been overtaken now by his teammate Justin Reed, who started the race on the soft. One of the only 4 drivers to do that. Since then, we've had one of the drivers, I believe was it Bergen, who came in and started on the softs as well. He's on medium tires at the moment. The 2 Red Bull drivers within half a second here. The 2 Alfa Romeo drivers within 7 tenths. The top 4 still within about 1.5 seconds of each other now. Once again, another look at the positions gained and lost. Here, Luke is going to have to look for an opportunity to strike back at Zent. Here's Zent now. While he's not close enough to Reimer to make anything happen, Reimer still, this is one of the only times the past couple of laps he's gotten within half a second of short Marcus here. It looks as if maybe is Reimer starting to find a rhythm around this track. It started on pole. Short Marcus overtook him about 3 or 4 laps ago, and since then the Williams have kind of looked as if he had the better car. It's been slightly weird. When that Williams has been in clean air, it's definitely looked better, but whether or not that stays the case, we'll have to wait and see. We do have convertible now within 2.5 tenths of Jag Cheb through turn 3. He's not really got that much of a slipstream back to the Alpine, not through there. As a matter of fact, behind, it looks as if we and the Williams actually very much closing in on the Aston Martin here, getting close to the back end, nearly got into him there, but got the car back down in time. Zench within 3.5 tenths now as they make their way up through turn 11 and 12. Sun trying to break through the clouds there. Again, no rain necessarily forecast. I haven't been paid saying that there was going to be rain, and the majority of the drivers took the medium. That either means the rain is going to be coming later on, or something like that, or it's going to stay dry. Reimer down to the inside. He will get around short Marcus and reach the lead in the Grand Prix. Very nicely done. I would assume if the rain was going to be happening here in the early stages, we were going to see many... Oh! Marcus has gone around. Yes, he has, and I don't know what's happened there. But suddenly, that car was no longer in second place, I don't believe. No, I don't think there was any contact there with Zench. He was at least a little bit further ahead of the Williams, and I think maybe that could have been just pure error there for Marcus. Very unfortunate for him. That's a car I really think could have a fair shot at the win as the convertible is off. That's going through turn 3. As a matter of fact, he's now side-by-side with Algeria again. These two have been battling it out for a solid portion of the race so far, as Algeria wide through turn 4. And Convertible's going to get down the inside back to P13 for him. Oh, and that was right into the wall there for Algeria. And I think perhaps I didn't quite get the best look at what was happening there, but definitely into the inside wall. And I'm assuming, yeah, he's missing the entirety of the front wing. The track stays green, strangely enough. I would expect at least a virtual safety car for that, but I guess maybe he's far enough off track to not trigger that. Down the pit straight they go. Convertible overtaking Jag Cheb. That being into the turn 10 braking zone, and Algeria now off track. He's taking towards the MotoGP layout, I believe. And he's going to allow Manny Kane and I believe Bergen going as well. Looks as if the two Alfa Romeo drivers have inverted position there mid, overtaking Mons down the pit straight. So 6 and 7 for the Alfa Romeos, 9 and 10 for the Red Bulls. As making their way through turn 4. Oh, Greg, that was a big wiggle for Jag Greg. And I think, well, at least he's held on to the car. He's not hit anything. That was a massive wiggle for the Alpine there. Nearly resulting in the crash with good car control. Going through turn 7 and 8 now, mid within 4.5 tenths as Algeria's retired in the pits after losing the front wing. It's been a rough string of races for Algeria. And another one there. Up through turns 11 and 12 now. Zench within 3.5 tenths of Reimer here as we're about to begin the 11th lap of the Grand Prix. Jag Cheb getting around to Convertible. It looks as if Convertible maybe has gone off through that 7 and 8 complex. There was a yellow flag there for the time being. Zench within 4 tenths of a second. Reimer's going to have to try to send him around the outside here. Reimer will instead defend the outside. And Zench will not have the real estate to challenge the Ferrari into the first corner. Behind Pierre-Luc is kind of on the outside looking into this battle. He's not quite close enough to really make an effort at either of the top 2 spots, but if a mistake happens, he's going to be right there to capitalize. And now, Zench trying his best, trying to find something on Reimer here. Through turn 5 and eventually turn 6, 7, and 8 they go. Pierre-Luc now equidistant to Zench as Zench is to Reimer, at least he was for the time being. It's 2.5 tenths of a second or less as up the hill now, going towards turn 9. Who's going to have the better acceleration out of this? Convertible's gone off going through turn 2. To the inside looks Zench. He's not going to have the room now, but was very close to doing so as through turn 10. The positions stay the same, and I was wondering what happened with Convertible there. It looks as if he's at least got all the pieces in the right places, so the track stays green. Exiting turn 14 now. Reimer went off track there temporarily between turn 13 and 14. Reimer will now weave it back to the outside. It's going to have to force Zench down to the inside here. Into the first corner. No, Reimer will choose to defend the inside. Down into turn 1 they go. Zench trying to hang it on the left side. They'll have the inside through turn 2, back to the outside through 3. Little contact there with the Ferrari. I think that was more or less just understeer there for the Ferrari than it was anything malicious, but still contact either way. This has allowed Pierre-Luc to really focus head into this battle. And again, if any mistake is to be made, Pierre-Luc will have himself a very good opportunity here. As looks as if, again, the two Alfa Romeos inverting position, that was being in towards turn 4. I think inverting positions might be the slightly not correct way to play that. Mid, I think, was off track there temporarily. I'm not entirely sure. But that car looked slow coming out of turn 4. Down the backstretch they go now. Zench is going to try the inside. This is an unconventional place to make a move. And Zench, well, I tell you what, he's going to have it here. Yes, he is. As it looks like, convertible's off in the gravel exiting turn 13, but Zench has taken the lead of the Grand Prix. And so Reimer has started on pole, lost the lead to the Williams of Fort Marcus, got it back. Fort Marcus has hit since then, I believe. Yes, he has, and then loses it again to Zench here. Although down to the inside, Reimer will get the top spot. Convertible has been disqualified for being parked in a dangerous location. That's what was to the outside in the gravel where he was. Perhaps that car beat more or less than him just parking it there. Reimer has been taking the lead up through in towards turn 4 now. Zench not close enough to make anything happen for the time being, although still within 2.5 tenths of a second. Pierre-Luc, I kind of want to say, playing this very patiently here, as Mons and the other Alfa Romeo have made their way up to 4th and 5th. It's been a good race so far for the Alfa Romeo team. 0.3 of a second here to Zench, try it into turn 10 one more time. Reimer will this time choose to defend the outside line into the corner. But it looks as if Zench still right within the slipstream of the Ferrari here. Mons, well, he doesn't even see the 3 cars ahead. 3 of the quickest drivers in the division, and still, they've now got a 9.5 second lead, but I also think they haven't quite pit yet. Matter of fact, everybody in the top 8 is yet to pit. Jag, Cheb, and Manny K, the drivers who have yet to see the pit lane. Down the pit straight they go. Zench this time will go in the pit straight and he'll get the spot. Very nicely done from Zench there. Easy enough as Pierre-Luc still watches on and hopes that perhaps at some point he can find an entry into this battle. If it's not quite close enough yet for him to really consider that he's a challenger for the lead of the Grand Prix here. Coming up closer to halfway through this race so far, 14 out of 33 laps here. Looks as if the 2 Alpine drivers making their way into turn 1, 9, and 10, as Calvin picking up a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. That's the first 3-second penalty of the day. That, I believe, was coming out of turn 14, as now will actually be overtaken by the Williams of Wee. In through turn 10 now. Pierre-Luc still 0.7 of a second behind. Mons is actually falling behind outside of 10 seconds on the top 3. His teammate of mid, 7.5 tenths behind him. As into the pits goes Reimer, the first of the leaders to choose the pit lane here. I'm assuming he's going to be going to the hards. Into the pit lane he goes. And let's find out what tires do the Ferrari crew put on here. The hard tires, as expected. So Pierre-Luc and Zench stay out. It looks as if mid down the pit straight will take third. But Zench has picked up 3 seconds of penalty now as he makes his way down the pit straight. That was coming out of turn 14 as well. So Reimer will come out of the pit lane in 5th. He may lose position to Marcus here as well. And no, it looks as actually he's going to stay ahead of Marcus here by some distance as well. Over 3 seconds. DWCJ up to 8th as both Mons and Giustarini into the pit lane. Giustarini might be battling with Bergen here into the first corner. Bergen's got a good run. It might be close here. Bergen's going to try around the outside, and the Ferrari's going to get the 10th spot. Nicely done. And both of these drivers on the medium tires as well. Bergen, except having started the race, I think, on the softs and had to pit early for the medium tires. He's still on his tires in which he made a stop back earlier in the race, so he's going to be under pressure from Justerini here for quite some time, and I would assume that he'll have to stop shortly. We do have Manny K and Jag Cheb into the pit lane now. Cheb on his way out. Zench has stayed out another lap, so is Fear Luke. Mid as well has done the same, and Nevek once more will also stay out. So the top four still yet to pit. Matter of fact, the top four, the only drivers left on track who have not stopped here. Halfway through the Grand Prix now, it looks as if, I mean, I don't want to say Zench is like the underdog in this race, but I tell you what, he's not necessarily looked the most complete driver on track here today. As Justerini down to the inside of Bergen, and we will make his way to the inside of Bergen now, and now with a Williams try Justerini here to the first corner. Oh, he's going to have the inside, but he's not quite got enough traction to get around Justerini through turn 2, and he'll stay P11, but not a bad turn of events there for the Red Bull in question. He's done well. Still the battle now between these three. This is for the 10th spot. Bergen, Lewis, Jag Chet taking a 3 seconds of penalty, the third driver of the day. As they exit turn 14, it looks as if the top two still have yet to pit. Fear Luke will have DRS. This being down the pit there. I tell you what, he's got a good run on Zench here. This might be a challenge for him. To the inside goes Fear Luke. And I tell you what, still to the inside is the Hasen. Well, I think Zench was just going to have better acceleration there. And Fear Luke kind of looked as if he backed out of position a little bit. Yeah, it didn't really look as if he was going to try to send it around the outside of the Hasen too. So Fear Luke stays second. A good little attempt there for him. So that's telling me he's starting to get the confidence back and trying to make that move happen instead of just kind of letting the race go on around him. That's a dangerous game to play. You have to sometimes just take matters in your own hands. If you let things happen around you, eventually they will involve you, and more often than not in a negative capacity. So Fear Luke, I think, will have to realize that, and maybe will he decide to play it a little bit more aggressive on the championship leader. Williams of Weiss still now leading Justerini. It's 2.5 tenths here up through turn 3. Can the Red Bull find anything here into turn 4? Not quite, not for the time being. Reimer within a 10.5 of Nevek. This is going down the backstretch now. Reimer's going to try it down to the inside. I think he's going to have it. Yes, he will. Reimer back up to 4th. And at this point, I think Reimer might still take the lead of the Grand Prix. Down the pit straight they go. Fear Luke. To the inside of Zench, I think he's going to have this one handedly this time. Yes, Fear Luke getting the spot before the braking zone. And we have a new leader. As last week's race winner of Fear Luke taking the lead here on lap 18. As Reimer getting around, well, that's the Alfa Romeo mid into the pit lane. He's gone quite a ways on those medium tires. Could we be looking at the soft? No, it's going to be the hard tires for the Alfa Romeo here. And now Zench to the outside, looking through turn 5. I mean, Zench is all over the back of the AlphaTauri here. This one is going to get dicey here, especially through the second sector. Any mistake from the car ahead, you better hope you have enough room to react and to make sure your car stays clean. Up through turn 9 now. It's 2.5 tenths of a second. Down the back straight they go. 3 tenths now. Still trying to close in, but he's not close enough. Zench still has to work. Reimer is 16.5 seconds behind. As now, well, Zench actually goes down the inside of turn 10 and will take the spot of Fear Luke. That was a bit of a bold one there. It was so bold, I didn't see it coming, really. Zench takes the lead. Very nicely done. Fear Luke into the pit lane now. I'm assuming onto the hard tires. Reimer will, I think, certainly get around at least Fear Luke. Maybe will he get around Zench when Zench decides to come in. It's only about a 16.5 second gap between the two, so maybe that'll be the case. I'm not sure. Fear Luke out of the pit lane now. Reimer down the pit straight. Short Marcus back in this battle as well. He'll now be up to 3rd as Fear Luke is going to, Fear Luke will drop behind both Nevek and Jag Greg down to P6. So Short Marcus within 4.5 tenths of the lead here. In second place. We're assuming the lead as Zench still has yet to pit. He's only got 15.5 seconds back to Reimer. That's not going to be enough to retain the lead, so we'll have to wait and see what happens. Justerini getting around mid into the first corner. That's for 9th. Jag Greg within 4.5 tenths of Nevek. Zench now through turn 10 and 11, taking the wide line through. He's actually lost a bit of time in that corner. He's about 15 and a half seconds starting sector 2. He's gone down at 14.8. And let's see, does he choose to stop now? The answer is yes. Finally, Zench decides to come in. Into the pit lane he goes. Reimer only making his way into turn 12 now. I'm still thinking that Reimer is going to have the lead here as he makes his way through turn 13. Down to 14 now. Zench has gone, well, he hasn't pit yet. Into the pit box now. And it's the soft tires for the Haas. That was kind of more of what I expected. I kind of figured that if we saw a late stop there, soft tires were going to go on. Reimer will take the lead back. Short Marcus second. The ghosted McLaren of Manny Kay kind of in the way of the Williams there, but gets out of the way. And now, Short Marcus will have clear track in between himself and Reimer for the top spot here. Through Sector 2 now. It's a good little train of cars here from first to second. The gap being 0.8 of a second. It's a little bit of a 3.5 second gap to JAG Greg, but everyone on back to Zench. I mean, we're going to look at some good battling here. Pretty sure everybody has stopped at this point. Vivek, I think, is the only one. No, Vivek has not stopped. He's run 19 laps on these medium tires, side by side with Fear Luke now. Maybe a bit of contact there. Now definitely contact between the two. And Fear Luke muscles his way down to the inside, much to the chagrin of the virtual Red Bull driver in the cockpit of Vivek. That one is now Zench down to the inside. Vivek finally tubes to enter the pit lane. 0.8 of a second, starting to close in, but not quite enough to really think that Marcus is going to be close enough to Reimer to make something happen soon. It might have to wait just a little bit. Nivek on for the hard jump. A bit of a late stop to go to the hard. Either that or Zench's decision to go to the soft was early. It was too early on that. That's an interesting predicament to be in. Making their way up through Sector 2 now. Reimer has the lead, 7.5 of a second behind to Short Marcus. Jag Greg about 4 seconds behind them. And is starting to be under pressure from Fear Luke. Who is really pressuring Fear Luke is that of Zench. And up through turn 9 they go somehow. Fear Luke having stopped earlier had the undercut on Zench. Well, now down to the inside goes Zench side by side. Not really any contact being made there. No, Zench is going to have that spot nicely done. Well, I was going to say the undercut there by Fear Luke actually seemed to have worked. Somehow Zench came out of the pit lane behind that of Fear Luke. Out of turn 14 they go now. Zench is really going to have Jag Red to overtake here. It's not really going to be any difficulty for him, and hardly by the time they're down to the end of the pit lane. Zench will have that one. As Fear Luke gets around Jag Greg as well for the Alpine, losing 2 spots there down the pit straight. Fear Luke to 4th, Zench to 3rd. Short Marcus still within 0.4 of a second here of Reimer. Coming up to 10 laps to go here shortly. 5.5 of a second. Short Marcus, who again looked to be one of the better cars on the grid today, still, had the mistake earlier on, which resulted in positions lost, but is right back in this battle now. On the hard tires, the both of them here. Zench now, having been on the soft tires, is now clawing his way back to the battle for the podium here. He's within 2.5 of a second, which that gap from Jag Cheb when he was in that 3rd spot after being overtaken was about 3.5 or more. Zench now within 2.5, so strike while the iron's hot here perhaps for the Haas, as those soft tires are still in the window. He's looking very good. It's a 1:13.67 for Zench, the fastest lap of the session so far. 0.4 of a second still, kind of just holding on to the back of Reimer here, not close enough to really pressure him, as Jag Cheb a 3-second penalty for multiple warning with a yellow flag, and that is Jag Cheb. It's exiting at turn 8. Gonna spun that car around there. I think maybe they just bought him out on the curb on the way in. That's probably the case. But Jag Cheb, unfortunate for him, up to 6 seconds in penalty and now down to P14. Now up the hill through turn 9. Short Marcus, 6.5 tenths, and closing back to Reimer here. And I think Reimer had a hash of the turn 9 exit. Marcus took about 2.5 tenths of a second off to the Ferrari there through turn 10 now. And Marcus still not really in a position to overtake him this time by. It'll be 10 laps to go. As Calvin now a 3-second penalty. He's up to 6. As Jag Cheb retiring the pit lane, unfortunate for him. 10 laps to go here. Reimer chooses to defend the inside. Marcus is not close enough with the DRS, nor does he really have enough battery to pressure Reimer in the first corner. And Reimer's going to hold on for this time as well. We within 6.5 tenths here of Justerini, not quite close enough to really make anything happen. We're down to 14 drivers on the grid after Cheb's DNF. As you can see, the ghosted robot there, Cheb making his way back out on track. He definitely retired in the pit lane, but the car making its way back out. We turn 3 now, and I tell you what, Zench, who was quite a ways back earlier on, is now within half a second on Short Marcus. And we now have essentially a 3-car battle for the win of the Grand Prix here, unless Luke kind of muscle his way back in. Remember, his tires are older than that. Zench, he stopped a lap before, mid picking up a 3-second penalty now. That's him there in P8, so he'll be losing the spot. Probably Justerini in the U as well. That's a power 3 seconds between the two. Remember, if you're outside of that 3-second window, you keep the spot when you have the penalty. Zench now within a 10th and a half of Marcus here. Through turn 14 they go, and Reimer is definitely hoping that Marcus gives Zench a tough time here. To the inside goes the Haas, and well, side by side down the pit straight. I'm afraid it's not going to be a tough time for very long, as Zench does have the inside and will get the spot. But Marcus is still there, and I'm thinking by the time they get to the end of the stint, Marcus will be on the better tires. As they saw, again, it won't really last all that long, but while they're in their window now, very, very quick, as Zench has taken off another 1/10 of a second to Reimer. Will look to the inside, a bit of a wiggle that time through turn 4, through turn 5 now, as a yellow flag at the back. It's Mons that's gone around, and that's to the inside of the circuits. Track stays green. Still the battle now between the top 3 through turn 7 and 8. Up the hill into turn 9. I'm thinking Zench will have a move at Reimer here into the turn 10 braking zone. Already down to the inside, and it looks as if Zench, yes, he will have that spot. So Zench reclaims the lead of the Grand Prix here, but again, I think Reimer might be okay as long as he can keep it clean to the end of the stint here, I would think. And that Ferrari is going to be better off as far as tires, as well as the Williams for that matter. And now, looky, here Luke is in this battle as well. P4, so it's a 4-car battle for the win of the Grand Prix here. If here Luke can get aggressive and make his way. Down the pit straight they go. Reimer now, I tell you what, look at the pace of the Ferrari to the inside of Zench, and wow, the speed differential there between the car with DRS and the one who didn't. I mean, goodness me, that was noticeably quicker, that. Through sector 1 now. Here Luke's still in position, but not quite close enough. Zench within a 10th of Reimer. Wanted to maybe have a look into turn 4 here. Not enough real estate to make it happen, but still doing his best. Now 3.5 tenths behind Short Marcus. This is truly a 4-car battle for the win here. If they can all just hold on and keep it clean. Exiting turn 9 now. Zench, 2.5 tenths of a second. He'll have a look down to the inside. He's not going to have the room now. But Short Marcus with the 8 of DRS also in this. The top 4. Remember how close of a qualifying session it was between the top 12 drivers. And now we're definitely seeing it on display here. Time by will be 7 laps to go. Let's see, does Zench overtake Reimer? Does Short Marcus throw his hat into the ring here? The Williams will have DRS, and look at the battery. Let's go look at telemetry now. And down to the inside, looks Zench into the first corner, and he's going to have that one before the braking zone. But look at the battery that's being saved up by Short Marcus here, 46%, as the top 2 ahead of him, both at about 14% respectively, and here Luke down to 11. So this Williams looks comfortable at the moment. He's not panicking. He's got a lot of batteries. He's got a lot of batteries saved up, and that is definitely going to help him come to the end of the Grand Prix. It looks as if Wee has gotten around Justerini, that being into the first corner. Fear-Luke watching on here, and again, I think Fear-Luke needs to be a little bit more aggressive where he can. He's played a very smart race so far, having the undercut on Zench as well worked for the time being. And he is certainly within position to make this win happen if he can just get there. Gets within half a second of short Marcus, but for the time being, Marcus still really pressuring Reimer, and Reimer's falling outside of Zench here, down to the outside 8.5 tenths of a second here. 6 laps to go now. Let's see if Zench, well, I tell you what, Reimer has DRS, and he's got some battery being used as well, but he's not going to be close enough to pressure Zench in the first corner. He is behind by still half a second. Top 4 through the first 3 quarters now. Short Marcus doing his best. I tell you what, Short Marcus, for me not really knowing anything about this guy, has put on one great display here. Into turn 5 now as Mons getting around into Vivek. Well, Vivek into the pit lane on the soft tires. Next time by. With 5 laps to go. Who will come out of this race the winner? It's going to be a very difficult one to decide with, because I think everybody has a fair shot here. Although I'm wondering again, will Zench's tires fall off by the time we get to the end of the Grand Prix? Because Reimer and Short Marcus on the hards, they don't have to worry about that. They just have to worry about putting in consistent laps. Zench will have to kind of nurse his tires to the end of the stage here. To the end of the session. This isn't staging. We're not in NASCAR. Out of the final corner now, 5 laps to go. Fear-Luke within 3.5 tenths from Short Marcus here. Last week's race winner on the outside looking into the podium, but he still has a little bit of time left to make it happen. Down in the first corner, and Zench will still lead them. Vivek may have a look at Bergen here shortly, that being for P11. As Justerini down the pit straight, looking for Wee. That's for P8, not quite close enough. Up through sector 2 now, Fear-Luke looking on. Zench is, well, not got as big of a gap over Reimer as he had initially. That has been cut down by a couple of tenths for the time being. As Short Marcus, that's about 50% or more saved up here. 54%. Zench down to 11. Reimer down to 11 as well. Short Marcus, 57%. That Williams has time left here and definitely has tires on his side. I'm just wondering when he decides to make the push. He's definitely got some pace. He's got some consistent laps going here. He's one of the quickest drivers on the grid. And I think, I'd say what, this will be the time. Yes, you can see it being used now. DRS activated. He is closing in on Reimer. Not quite enough to really pressure him into the corners. And, well, I don't know what happened there. That was a bit of a weird instance there as I look on my screen. Yeah, that was really odd, but Zench half a second ahead. Short Marcus now within a tenth and a half of Reimer. Through turn 4 again, Fear-Luke in this battle, but really not pressuring the Williams here. He'll have to work hard in these final couple of laps here to get on the podium. Exiting turn 5, through turn 6, and now up the hill through turns 7 and 8, and eventually into turn 9. Tell you what, Zench looking pretty good here. Marcus has not really come up through the ranks like we kind of expected him in the last 3 laps to go this time by. Reimer has not. I tell you what, for the time being, doesn't look as if he's got the pace to match Zench right now, despite being arguably on the better tires. He's just not quite close enough to make it happen yet. Through turn 13, and now through turn 14, 3 laps to go here in total. Down the pit straight they go. Does Marcus decide to go for it now? Down the straight to turn 1. Reimer will defend the inside. He'll have to force Marcus around the long way through turn 1. He'll have the inside. That'll allow Marcus to have the better line through 2. And Reimer will stay on that right side, and he will gain the advantage going through turn 2. That has almost allowed Felix to get in the picture, but that what it would have really done, and allowed Zench to get outside of 8.5 tenths of a second now on the 3 cars behind. Going up through turns 7 and 8 now. It'll be 2 laps to go at the stripe this time by. He's doing his best. He's not quite close enough yet to make something happen. He's doing all right, I think. He's saving up a little bit of battery. He's not really going to have enough to pressure here. As you see, look at the amount that Marcus has used. You can't quite see it in front of the telemetry. 25% for him, so he's used about half of the battery he had stored. Zench now outside of almost a second and a half on Reimer. Reimer will no longer have DRS down the pit straight. He may get gobbled up by both Marcus and Fear Luke here. Down the pit straight they go. Marcus will look down to the inside and will take the spot. Fear Luke now, will he have a look into the corner? It may be close, and no, he's not quite close enough. 2 laps to go. So that'll drop Reimer to 3rd. Short Marcus up to 2nd is now within 1 second of Zench here. They have 1 more opportunity. Well, really 2 more opportunities to overtake Zench. They'll have the pit straight next time by, and then they'll have the exit of turn 9, the backstretch DRS zone, after this. And I'm just wondering what Marcus plans to do here, because he had to use a lot of his battery to even get around Reimer there. I think he waited just a little bit too long. That car has had some pace, and now is losing the battery game back to Zench. Top 4 making their way to turn 10 for the penultimate time. Fear Luke within 4 tenths of a second of Reimer. As making their way through turn 12. Short Marcus within 6.5 tenths of Zench now. I think exit turn 14. If he gets a good exit, I tell you what, who hasn't got a good exit? I don't think Zench got away well there. Coming out of 14, DRS activated, final lap of the Grand Prix, and Marcus is really going for it here. Will he have the opportunity? He'll look to the outside. Marcus, if he can hold on, contact being made there, still side by side, and I tell you what, he was beat on the inside there again. Zench had the right-hand line going through turn 2. That was the exact same way that Reimer was able to stay ahead of Marcus a couple of laps ago. And now Marcus will have to do it more difficult down exiting turn 9. That is by far the most difficult place as far as with DRS to overtake. It's not that good of a corner to try to make something happen on. So Marcus is really going to have to work for this one here. Zench has done well, up 3 positions since the start of the race. I tell you what, he's on his way to claim yet another win in this dominating season that he's had. DRS activated here for Marcus. Will he have anything in the turn 10? No, he won't. So that may just seal the result here for Zench, unless does he make a hash to the final sector here and allow Marcus any sort of opportunity. With Zench making his way through turn 13 and eventually turn 14. Fear Luke is spun back there exiting turn 12. And now Zench, going across the line, will win the Spanish Grand Prix by 3 tenths of a second over Short Marcus. Reimer 3rd. Fear Luke has lost the front wing, but will somehow stay and finish 4th. Now, I don't know how he spun or what made him spin coming out of turn 12 there, but DWCJ getting around Jag Greg at the line, and so DWCJ rounding out the top 5. That is a very good result for the Haas team, the team who was, I don't want to say dominated this season, but when you got a driver like Zench, that sort of thing will happen. Mons will probably come across the line here, 10th, Nevek 11th. Calvin looks as if he's still battling with Bergen, although Bergen is going to take this spot once penalties are applied. That's a big slide there for Bergen. Yep, he's gone round. Really tried to put the hammer down, but Calvin will finish 12th, and Bergen will round out the finishing drivers there in 13th as the Ghost of Manny K tries to go round. And yep, Bergen finishing P13. Well, that'll do it for us here. The Haas of Zench taking the win. Short Marcus 2nd, Reimer 3rd. DWCJ taking driver of the day. Hotspot, it's been a pleasure joining me here in Barcelona. Be ready to join us next week when we head to the Principality of Monaco for the 8th round of the JAG Sunday Series season.